Hello, I'm really glad to be here talking to you today about how not to get appointed to your next leadership role. I've picked out 5 common pitfalls. I can absolutely guarantee you that if you follow probably even just one of these, you won't get your next leadership role. So that's what I wanted to highlight today. Obviously, if you do follow this through and you do think, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, etc., there's a high chance you will get your next leadership role. But to make sure we're really clear about what not to do, that's why we're going to focus on it in this way. So, first, a little bit about me. I'm Dr. Helen Wright. I bet I know quite a few of you who are listening to this as well, because I love getting to know people. And I'm a former school principal, but over the past decade, I've worked with school leaders around the world, many of whom are in the Middle East region. And the focus has been partly through recruiting with LSC education and coaching, again with LSC, and is just to help people get in the right place. Because if you can be a leader of children, young people, and you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, then everybody benefits. So that's where I'm coming from. Now, over these past 10 years, when I've been working with LSE, since 2015, actually, beginning of 2015, with the team at LSE, we've seen so many mistakes that people have made in applying. And that's what I'm drawing on today. I'm pulling out all of that experience to try and come up with the 5 key areas, the mistakes not to make when you're applying. So hopefully you will find these useful. So let us get started with pitfall number 1. Pitfall number 1, if you really don't want to get a role, don't do your homework on the school or the role. Don't do it. Do remember, however, that schools are a bit precious about their identity, quite rightly so, because they're all different. And in fact, not only are all schools different, but no leadership school is the same as well. And at some point, if you haven't done your homework on the school or on the role, you're going to fall flat on your face. It's like you'll turn up, you'll say, "Oh, oh, that's interesting. I see you do the IB as well as A-levels. Oh, why do you do that?" And they'll go, "Well, this person obviously isn't interested enough in our school. So think very carefully. If you really don't want to get it, just rock up, just chuck in a CV and a letter of application, and don't try targeting that in any way whatsoever." It is, of course, courteous to find out about schools, and it's also really courteous to find out about the role itself, because if you think about it, the title, say, for example, deputy head, the title deputy head could cover a myriad of different types of deputy head. And that's what it is that you are going to be looking at, and that's what you're going to be trying to decide and work out, is that the role for me? And also, when you're putting in your application, you're going to make sure that you're focusing your application on those particular areas, not on the areas you quite think you might like to do, but they don't need. I think digging deeper as well, it's a bit of history of the school really makes a difference too, just so you understand where it's come from, where is it in its journey. It could be that it's had a couple of hiccups en route. It could be that it presents very well and you see it as an outstanding school, but actually when you get to know it, when you talk to people about it, you know that there are areas which still need work. Every school needs work. We mustn't pretend that it doesn't. But what is that work? What is it that it's need? I will say that Google is there for a reason. It exists to be your friend in this situation, and any other search engine you might like to use as well. But that is your key. So remember, homework, homework, research, looking, finding, building up a picture. Oh, that makes such a difference. So that's mistake number 1. Let's have a look at the next one. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You would be surprised at the number of applications which have mistakes in them. Really, it's, and do you know what? It's so easy to do. We all do that, don't we? We all make mistakes. We we just don't see it when we're checking again, and we know how to spell something, but it just comes out wrong. Um, if your application has got mistakes in it, then it will tell against you. And why should it tell against you? Well, in education, what we're trying to do is to get children not to make those mistakes. We do believe in failing. We do believe in learning and becoming resilient. It's just this is a high stakes event. Now, it absolutely may not be your thing to check your application. You may make mistakes for all sorts of different reasons, but get people to help you. Get people to help you, get people to bring that in their own expertise, their own thought, etc. Please, please, please try to avoid some simple typos, which can be so embarrassing. I mean, please don't leave out the L in the word public. Please don't do that. And get other people to check those things for you. If you really, really want to fail in this, if you really want to fail, then definitely don't take out the bit that says insert school name here. Deary me, deary me. So easily done. So easily done. It sort of makes me cringe to think about it, but it is so easily done. If you're working with other people, they will enable you they will point out things for you. They'll help you. So use people. Use yourself and use people as well. Um, a little bonus here, a little extra, little pitfall you might fall into is that if you don't want to get the role, then don't target your CV to the role. Just say, this is my CV. It's like my birth certificate. Here we are. I'm just going to tell you what it is. This is what I've done. Bang, here it is. In actual fact, your CV isn't your birth certificate. You might have to let go of things in there or reorganize things in there that you just, oh, maybe you're really proud of the fact that you were a waiter in a fast food restaurant when you were 18. I mean, you probably were. I should be proud of that. But the point is that relevant to the role? Might be. If you're applying to be a manager in a fast food restaurant, then it could well be of importance to you. In fact, it would be because it shows your interest in the hospitality industry, and all the different things that you're looking at. So you know, use it there if you want to. Otherwise, think carefully. Think carefully about what it is that you're writing down. Think carefully about what it is you're putting in your bullet points, about the impact that you've had. Is it relevant? Of course, you shouldn't leave things out if they leave huge gaps in your CV, because you'll be asked about those anyway from a safeguarding perspective. But just think about that. So that's another little bonus. So there you are. You're warned. Error-free is where we want to go. So, what is number 3? Oh, yes. If you don't want to get a job, fib. Fib. Just tell all sorts of little lies. You know, you could have been, you're the person who saved the school. You came in as a head of department, and actually you transformed everything. And that was solely down to you. You did everything. Ta-da! Look what you brought in. Look what you did. Look at this. Everybody was in absolute awe of you. Or were they? Were they? Now, very probably, if you're applying for a leadership role, you have done a lot of stuff that's transformed the school. It hasn't just been you, though. The question is, what did you do to help other people get on the journey? Or how did you help and contribute to what other people were doing? If you're not careful, and it's beginning to sound as though you've just done the whole thing, people will dig beneath that. And what you will lose, or what you will loosen, is that relationship of trust that you're building up. You're building up a relationship of trust through the whole process, going through the putting forward your CV, putting forward your letter of application, meeting people, chatting. You're building up the sense of, can you work together? Is this um, a way is this how a relationship that's going to be successful and is going to enable you to thrive? Is this going to work? So if you exaggerate or if you say that you've done things when you haven't, then that loosens that trust. Um, I will say there is another side to this as well, because it can be very easy to say all the time, oh, we did this and we did that and we did the rest. And whenever I'm interviewing somebody, I always feel really guilty when I say, look, no, 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 tell me what you singular, not you plural, did. Tell me what you did, because I want to find that out. Because in actual fact, we do know that most of the things we do depend on other people. We do know that. We know that. And yet it's you who's being interviewed for this job, you who's going to be the one who they appoint, etc. So you can't overdo the we, definitely, because otherwise you're just saying that this was a great school I've been at. Absolutely fantastic. Yes, but what kind of a leader are you? What did you do in it? So get that balance right. But being the superhero who saves the world, um, just be a little bit careful about that. Yeah. So what about pitfall number 4? So pitfall number 4 is an interesting one because to a certain extent, we are interviewing people we're going to potentially work for. It is a two-way process. You do need to find out a little bit about them. You feel like you need to find out quite a lot about them actually, in order to think, yeah, do you know what? I'll be happy here. My family will be happy here. We'll work this. This can really work. I'm excited by it, etc., etc. So there's a lot that you need to find out. But there's a difference between that and that process of discovery that you're going on and turning up and saying, well, if they want me, I'm going to check with them first. I'm going to make sure, if you really, really want to fail, tell them that you're not sure you want this role, but you've come to find out to see what's going on, just see whether you could perhaps be the savior who comes in and rescues everything and so on. So yeah, tell them that if you don't want the job. And of course you want to know that it's going to be a good fit. Of course you want to be authentic in what you're doing. So you are going to have a bit of trepidation around it, but see it from the school's perspective. So the school's perspective, this really matters to them. It's not just you and a job. It's actually how successful is the school going to be? Have we got all the right people there? It's the school's reputation. It's the outcomes for the students. It's about the success of the school. It's really big things that matter to them. So the question you're really asking them is, what do they need from you? And when they are telling you that, or they're trying to find that out themselves, but when they're telling you what they need from you, then you will have a much better sense of whether you can deliver on that. And you don't really want to leave that to the last interview either. That's why pitfall number 1, do your homework. Do your homework. And the other thing, just to fit in there as well, when you're saying what you can do, always give evidence. Give evidence of something that you have done or something similar. Give examples so that people can see and understand that you're not just saying, yeah, sure, sure, sure. Of course I can do that. Yes, yeah. What I would do is I do this, 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 and this. Yes, yeah, yeah, but do we know? Remember that it's really, really high stakes for the school. Remember that it really matters, possibly in a way that they don't even fully understand themselves. So think about that. And so we come to pitfall number 5. Now, this is an interesting one, and I wonder if you've ever thought about this. You see, the thing is, we tend to think that all jobs only come from an advert. And we have to wait for that job to come along. Then we apply, and then we go through a process, and then we get the job or we don't get the job. In actual fact, across the world, between 70 to 85% of jobs are actually allocated without people being interviewed for them or without them being advertised. And LinkedIn back in 2017 did a survey, and they worked out that 70% of the leadership roles in that year had come through companies that people were already connected with in some way and hadn't just come through an advert. There's it's almost like an advert is a statement that the job is there, which is often the case, but not always the case. But that's not just enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. So you think, well, surely not in education. In education, every job, every leadership job is advertised and everyone goes through a fair process. Well, it's not true that every job is advertised, because if you think about it, think about your own school. Think about the leadership roles in your own school, as likely as not, which over the past few years have been filled with internal appointments because there's a growing from inside. Many companies, quite rightly in many ways, want to grow talent. And so therefore they have people on succession planning trajectories as well. So if you really want to work in a certain role in a certain company or certain school, then there may not be that advert that comes out. You may have to be thinking about this a different way. So that's just one thing to put into the mix here, that it sometimes, often, mostly, it's not worth just waiting to see, could do that, or oh, I could do that. Be much more intentional and think about it. There'll be a mixture of serendipity, and is somebody who's in a role going to move on from the role or not? There's some of that. I mean, undeniably, but let's not fall into the trap of thinking that every role is going to come from that advert. A significant number of leadership appointments are run by recruitment companies, well, to which, I mean, LSC. And why do they do that? Well, it's good to get that external support. They're doing it because those recruitment organizations know a huge number of people. They know people. They're connected all the time. They're understanding people, they're caring for people, for you on your growth journey as well. And so if a school wants a recruitment organization to look for somebody, then inevitably they're going to turn to people who they know, as well as a wide range of other people as well. So think about that when you're thinking about this process. And remember that if you just wait, it might not happen. So that brings me on to a little bit of advice. There's a little bit of advice which I'd give you here. And the first thing goes back to that are you a good fit for the school? Well, think about it, find out about you. And now that may seem so obvious to say that, but knowing yourself is not actually as easy as we think it is. What do you really, really want? Who are you? Get yourself a coach to find that out. I love as well using the Thomas International psychometric tests, because they delve down into your behaviors. They look at your potential. They've got all sorts of different things in there. You do that. Find out, work out who you are and what actually works for you as well. What is it that what is it you're really looking for? Not just what's out there and might I fit, but what are you really looking for? Keep learning about leadership, keep growing in experience. The more experience you have in areas in which you're interested in, the more likely it is you will get a job. that matches just what you want to do, because you'll be able to show that evidence that you have got it. And network. Now, I could do a whole other webinar about networking and what that means, because we often shy away from that word. We don't like that. But what it really means is making yourself visible. Follow your passions, your interests, know what they are, first of all, and keep learning about them too. Follow those, and make them visible. Be out and about, or even just being able to articulate yourself. Look out for what your digital footprint says about you. All of those things. Now, this isn't an overnight fix. This is a journey, and we were all on a journey as a leader, always. All of us, I firmly believe that everyone is a leader, and we're all different types of leaders, and our leadership will manifest itself in different ways. Question is, what is that? Can we express it? Can we say what it is? And can people hear us? So anyway, there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into what not to do if you want to get your next leadership role. And I very much look forward to seeing you again, and we will catch up out there somewhere, I'm sure. Take care. Bye for now.